Think twice before leaving home. Why England may not be the safe haven you dream of. This is Kato Mukasa on Ubuntu Show, brought to you by Ubuntu Global Connect, a company registered to promote trade and business opportunities between our people in Africa and our people in the rest of the world. Today, we talk about England and the living crisis in there and why it's not a wise move for you brothers and sisters in Africa to sell your property to come and join the crisis in England.
Okay, so here's a trend I see happening in the next decade is we all know that there's homeless people right now, and the homeless people today consist of a lot of people that happen to be on drugs. There's a lot of mental illness or disabled people that have been abandoned, things like that. I think in the future, in the next decade, we're going to see a lot of what I'm going to call like the working homeless. There's so many people right now on edge that have no money, no assets. They're struggling to even pay rent on their apartment, and they're just not making it. They don't get welfare. They don't qualify for any kind of assistance. A lot of people are just struggling to even eat. So I think what's going to happen is, but they do have probably a car, even if it's one that's on the repo list. Repo lists are really high right now, or it could just be a really old car. But I think there's going to be a growing trend of people that become working homeless and they live in their cars. I've already seen some of it. And it's just going to be people that they have a job, but they don't make enough to pay for their apartment because their apartment's too much, and they don't have any family or friends to kind of share a room with, things like that. So I think the working homeless is going to become a big thing. Not today. It's happening a little bit today, but I think in the next decade, it's going to be a big thing. I think you'll see a lot of it. I would estimate you might even have 1 million or more people like that are just parking in maybe places like Walmart or Target or Home Depot. They're parking at night and then maybe moving their cars around to not get in trouble, things like that. But I think it's going to be a growing thing because you do have a lot of people that are on the very edge, but they do have a vehicle, and you're much safer staying in a vehicle than sleeping behind a building somewhere, things like that. But that's what I see happening.
Welcome to Bristol, otherwise known as Caravan City. See, outside of London, Bristol is one of the most expensive places to live and rent in the whole of the UK. And a lot of people have opted for, instead of paying rent, living in a caravan on the side of a road. I can sure sympathise and empathise with these people. I sure understand why they're staying here. The world is expensive, especially here in Bristol. I was looking at hotels before, and I don't even think I'm going to stay here because of how expensive it can be. It's not without its controversy or issues. Some of the local residents aren't so happy about people living here. They complain about problems with rubbish, etc. Just look at that. Now I'm parked at the very end of this little strip. If I don't move in 2 hours, I will get a parking ticket. But I'm pretty sure a lot of these caravans, camper vans, etc. have not moved in months or years. This one has to be my personal favourite. Look at that. A lot of efforts went into that. Looks like they have a rooftop, a basketball net. It's insane.
England used to shine as a land of opportunity. But today, even average workers can't afford rent. And owning a home is a dream that is vanishing. Average salaries in UK haven't kept up. Most workers make about £37,000 a year. Just the bare minimum to pay rent in London, never mind groceries and other bills. The average UK salary is about £38,000 a year. Average London rent is over £2,250 a month. You can imagine when your salary is about £38,000 a year, and your rent alone is over £2,000 a month. Yet, you have other bills to pay.
Further proof that the UK as a country is absolutely cooked. The flat underneath mine is currently for rent. It's been on the market for almost a month now. Now, I live in one of the most expensive areas of the UK, so the one-bedroom flat underneath me is on the market at £1,200 a month. I would like to reiterate that I don't pay nearly that much. I've been here a long time, and I'm very lucky to have a landlady that doesn't have a mortgage. So I pay a lot less than that. But that's the average cost. That's the average cost of a one-bedroom flat where I live. Now, when it was on the market a year ago, because the guy that's just moved out has only been here a year, over 2 days, there was a constant rotation of people coming to view the flat. Like every hour and a half, there was someone else coming to view the flat, and a week later, someone moved in. So it went really fast. And it was on for the same price last year as well. So it literally went up on Rightmove, and 3 days later it was not there anymore because someone had taken it. A year later, and it's been on the market for almost a month, and in that time 3 people in total have come to view it. 3 people. And they've got an open house today because it's Saturday, and not one single person has turned up yet. Not one person. No one can afford shit, especially not property prices that are £1,200 a month to rent. That's insane. Like, but it boggles my mind that in the space of a year, like, that's how much things have changed in the space of 12 months.
I need to talk about this. I'm moving house, right? And the rental market in London is abysmal. I went to view an apartment the other day. It was marketed as a 1-bedroom flat. It was about the size of my auntie's kitchen, and there was a separation in the middle, which was like a screen door that you could see through. The bedroom was smaller than my bed, and the living room would not fit a table and chairs and a sofa. So you have to decide which one you want. But the icing on the cake was the fact that the only windows in the apartment were windows into the communal hallway. So no windows to outside, no natural light whatsoever. And it costs £1,300 a month, £1,300 to live in a box with no natural light. The look on my face when I saw it, I don't even know how the agent could look me in the eye. It was unbelievable. I can't believe people are living like this for that much money.
So I have got some very difficult decisions to make, and it involves possibly trading my home for a van. I have so much research to do. I mean, this has always kind of been a thought in the back of my head, you know, for a number of years. I'm certainly not in a financial position to just go out and actually buy a van that's ready-made to live in. So I'm going to have to be smart about this if it's something that I'm going to go ahead with. What's making me consider it more now is recently being told by my landlord that he may have to put the rent up. And in all honesty, I'm getting to that line now where I'm just like loads of people, you know, like probably half the country, I'm absolutely fed up in a way of just everything going up. Now, if the rent on this house goes up, which it is going to, I'm going to be stuffed. I'm not saying that van life is cheap. This is all what I'm looking into, and I would be very grateful for any advice from anyone that already does van life on what I can expect. But just as a little bit of a backstory, I've only been in this house for 1.5 years. It is rented. The house that I lived in before, which was also rented, was quite a large property. It was an old Victorian house spread over 4 floors, which came in very handy for me as far as the photography stuff goes and the modelling stuff. I was able to, you know, use it as a studio. What crippled me on that house, even though the rent was higher than this one, it was actually the council tax. The council tax was a band E, which is hideously expensive for the Northwest. And that is what buggered me up. And then, of course, with it being a bigger house, the heating, that was a lot more money. So I had to, downsize to the house that I'm in now. And even now, I'm struggling because since I've been here, everything has gone up again. I'm behind on my gas and electric bill. I'm now just fallen behind on my council tax bill. And now the landlord tells me that he's probably going to be putting the rent up before the year is out. Like, my shopping, it's almost non-existent. I'm usually running out of food before the next time I'm paid. And there's times I'm not eating right or I'm not eating at all. Something has to change at some point along the line, and I'm fed up with doing this now.
Sadly, good jobs are disappearing too. Amazon is moving towards a 1-to-1 robot-to-human ratio in UK warehouses. Robots are replacing human beings. AI is replacing journalists and other professional roles. Work is getting automated. Careers are now short-term gigs, freelance hustle, or 0-hour contracts. Graduates aren't safe either. Many are stuck in low-paying jobs despite having doctoral degrees, PhD, and the so-called graduate premium. Food banks are overflowing. People choose between eating food or heating their houses. The middle class is collapsing. Poverty today often means having a job, but not having a job that pays enough.
The realities of van life hit hard this morning. As you've all probably realised yourselves, after a couple of weeks of sunshine, British weather has returned. Now, a lot of people have asked me what urban van life is really like. I will admit that on social media, a lot of what you see about van life is only part of it. But the day-to-day is a lot less glamorous, especially for an urban van lifer like myself. I've been living in the back of my van in Edinburgh for a year now, to save money on rent and bill. For the next few weeks, though, I'm taking some time off work to finish my study. I haven't mentioned this before, but I'm in my 5th and final year of my law degree through the Open University. I've been studying this part-time whilst working full-time as an electrician in Edinburgh and living in a van. Despite the poor weather today, I wanted to talk about one of the main advantages of van life, and that is obviously how you don't have to pay money on rent and bills. Because I've been saving for a house anyway, I've got 30 grand cash. This, plus the fact I live in a van, means that I can sustain myself for a few weeks and probably a few months actually, whilst I work on studying for my last module. So my point is that despite the weather sometimes being not so good, the freedom that van life gives me in not having to work when I need to, and in some cases even being able to move around the country like I have done to find work. To me, this outweighs the downside with things like the weather and not necessarily having your own private space. I hope this video has answered the questions that people were asking about the realities of van.
It's great that it's finally becoming more expensive for landlords in the UK to let out their property, but has anyone else noticed that it's just the tenants picking up the bill? Before 2020, landlords, or what I like to call land bastards, had some tax relief on their properties because they were able to deduct mortgage interest payments from their rental income. Thankfully, that is being phased out. Also, stamp duty has increased from 3% to 5% for buy-to-let properties. We love to see it. But I want to know how many tenants in the UK have seen a drastic increase to their rental prices. Me personally, I live in a 1-bed apartment, very small apartment. I pay £900 a month for it. My lease is up in June. My landlord tried to increase that to £1,100 a month. That is an increase of £200 a month. That is an increase of over 20%. Plus, my EPC rating is like an E or something. Like, the apartment I live in is not fit to live in during the winter months. My winter bill was £250 for a single occupant because he did nothing to try and insulate this place. He does not care. So whilst I think it's great that Labour has introduced these incentives to protect tenants, it's also kind of insulting that they've done that without introducing any cap on how much rent can increase. 20%? My salary has not risen 20%. You cannot say that it's inflation. Like 20%.
I talk about the situation of going to work each day, working 2 to 4 shifts in a day, but still unable to pay the bills. sisters, brothers, friends, colleagues, comrades, don't sell your home to chase a mirage. Invest in Africa, where your land is, where your home is, where your heart is. Invest in Africa, where your ambition and your future belong. England is changing, just like many European countries are changing. Today, unemployment is increasing in Germany, in Italy, in Netherlands, in Denmark, and in many other European countries. It's not England alone facing this crisis. The entire Europe is having a challenge today. It is important that before you make that decision to move away, that before you make that decision to sell your property and pay for a visa, think about a possibility of not finding a job of your dream. Think about a possibility of unemployment, of stress, of bad health, of modern-day slavery. Comrades, Ubuntu Global Connect is here to help you build your business, trade, and wealth right at home in Africa. Check out our website. Let's work together. Stay and build Africa's tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, and let's build Africa together.